Welcome to Greek for a Week. I am glad that you are here with us this week to look at Philippians chapter 3, verses 15 through 16, which will close out the larger paragraph of 12 through 16 that I've titled here, Pursuing the Goal. What I want to do here, as is typical, is translate verse 15 and verse 16, and then walk through a few things, namely the verbal forms in these two verses, just to try to get a sense of what Paul is saying through these two verses. He says, therefore, as many as are mature, okay, let us have this mindset. So let us have this mindset, or let us think this way. And if someone has a different mindset, God, also will reveal this to you. Nevertheless, to which we have obtained, let us continue in the same way. So here, we're going to look at a couple of, again, like I said, verbal forms. I just kind of want to maybe revisit a few of our first semester, maybe even second semester of our first year of Greek rules. I think it'll be interesting to see what all we can recall. We'll notice here that Paul begins with an un. Okay, the un is an inferential conjunction based upon what was said preceding to verse 15. And really he's turning, I would suggest here, into the application of his argument. And then you'll see the phronomen here. Phronomen is a hortatory subjunctive. Again, I think that's a shift from Paul as the subject back in verse 14, now to a first-person plural subject, let us. And then, of course, have this mindset or think this way. Then you have the verb phronete here. Okay, that is the second-person plural, present active indicative of phroneo. So I want to review just for a bit here and put phroneo as our lexical form here. Well, what's taking place in order to communicate the second person plural, present active indicative, is you have an ete that's being attached as your personal ending. Well, what you have here is you have an epsilon here, and then you have an epsilon here. And as those two epsilons come together, you form a contraction, which is an epsilon iota, hence the circumflex above the second vowel, the iota. Then next, let me also talk through another verbal form, the apokalypse. Okay, that is a third person singular, because God is our subject here, third person singular, future active indicative of apokalypto. Okay, so we have the future form there, that God will reveal this to you. Then as we work our way down to verse 16, we have another verbal form that I want to discuss, the ephthasamen. That is a first person plural, aorist active indicative of thanao. Okay, so you have here, all right, here's our phi, and then our theta, our alpha, and then the nu, okay, and then your personal ending, the omega here. What happens is the samen is our ending. Well, as the samen gets attached, remember the samen, okay, that is a liquid, okay, that is a liquid form there with the nu, and the sigma and the nu cannot be together, so the nu drops out, and that's why you're left with just a samen. And then, of course, here the epsilon at the beginning is our augment. So again, that should pull up a few aorist indicative rules, again, from first year Greek. Maybe that's a help to you. Varner, who is the author in the Baylor Handbook series, he states that this verb I just walked through is a rare word that is only used 5 times in Paul. With the preceding phrase, okay, to which here, with the preceding phrase, it means with respect to what we have attained. Which is, again, that relationship with Christ. We've just not, as Paul says, attained perfection because I'm still here on the earth. I'm not yet in heaven. And then last, you have the stoikane, which is a present active infinitive. Remember, we have our ain ending here as the infinitive ending. What Hellerman says in the Exegetical Guide to the New Testament, he says that this particular word here functions with imperatival force. In other words, we must hold on. The present tense form is rightly understood, Hellerman says, in context to mark an ongoing action, to be in line with a person or thing considered as a standard for one's conduct, or you could say to hold true to, or live up to, and I think that's what Paul's asking them to do. Nevertheless, to which we've obtained, hey, let's continue to progress in the same way, which I think a large portion of the letter is let's all be unified or remain in unity as we go through to pursue this goal. Again, trust that's been helpful. Went a little long for this video, a few verbal forms I wanted to talk through. Trust you have a great week. We will diagram verses 12 through 16 next week.